Welcome back to AI Unraveled, your daily strategic briefing on the business impact of artificial intelligence. It is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. This episode is brought to you by AIRIA. In a world of shadow AI and rogue agents, AIRIA gives you the control you need to innovate safely. Today we have a shocker from Anthropic. They just released Claude Sonnet 4.6, a mid-tier model that is actually beating their own flagship in coding and finance tasks at 1/5 the price. It's a move that signals the era of cheap frontier intelligence has truly arrived. But it's not just software. Apple is reportedly going all in on hardware, fast-tracking smart glasses and AI pendants to give Siri the eyes and ears she's been missing. Meanwhile, the battle for the battlefield is heating up. SpaceX is competing to build autonomous drone swarms for the Pentagon, while the government is threatening to label Anthropic a supply chain risk for refusing to loosen its safety rules. And if you're thinking about spending $500 on hardware to run your own OpenClaw agent, we have a few warnings you need to hear first. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Now let's unravel the news.
Before we dive into today's deep dive, a quick note for the brands listening. If you are trying to reach the architects of the AI revolution, not just the tourists, but the technical leaders actually building the stack, we are opening up limited partnership spots for Q1. See how we can simulate your product for the technical buyer at jamgamind.com/partners.
It is February 18th, 2026. And today, we're looking at a technology landscape that is just, it's fundamentally at war with itself.
It really is. On one side, you have this accelerationist dream just coming true in real time.
Right. Intelligence is becoming basically free. It's abundant. You can run on hardware you could have, theoretically bought at a Radio Shack back in the day.
And then on the complete other side of that coin, you have the realist nightmare. You have the people who actually sign the checks, the CIOs, and they're in a total crisis of confidence.
A complete meltdown. And at the same time, the Pentagon is, getting ready to blacklist one of the most important AI labs in the entire world.
It's an incredible contradiction.
It's the paradox of 2026, right? The models have never, ever been better, but the business case for them has never been messier.
Or more confusing.
We have a really heavy stack to get through today. We're going to break down Anthropic's, frankly, bizarre decision to essentially cannibalize their own flagship product.
It's a wild move.
And then there's the hardware. The $200 billion bet that Micron just placed on memory, and the absolute chaos of shadow AI that's taking over enterprise networks as we speak.
Oh, the Raspberry Pi renaissance. And plus, we really have to talk about the Alpha School disaster.
It is.
It's just a tragic case study.
If you ever want to know what happens when you prioritize AI hype over, basic common sense and pedagogy, that is Exhibit A.
It is ugly. Truly ugly.
And finally, the standoff.
Yeah.
Silicon Valley ethics slamming right into the reality of military drone swarms. It is shaping up to be the defining conflict of the year.
No question.
But first, we have to talk about the bomb that dropped this morning.
The Sonnet shocker. That's what everyone's calling it.
Exactly. So Anthropic released Sonnet 4.6. Now, look, usually a 0.6 release on a mid-tier model is it's a snooze fest. It's a press release and maybe a tiny bump in speed.
It's not front page news.
Not at all. But this feels like a strategic suicide mission. It's bizarre.
It's a scorched earth strategy is what it is. To put this in context for you, historically, the Sonnet line from Anthropic is their mid-tier model. It's reliable, it's affordable, it's the Honda Accord of AI.
Right. Gets the job done.
Exactly. And Opus is the Ferrari. You pay a massive premium for that Ferrari because it can do complex reasoning and multi-step tasks that the Accord just can't handle.
That was the deal.
That was the deal. But with Sonnet 4.6, the Honda just blew the Ferrari off the starting line, and Anthropic is basically giving it away for pennies on the dollar.
The specs are actually startling when you dig in.
Yeah.
In finance benchmarks, in coding, and in general office tasks, Sonnet 4.6 is matching, or in some cases exceeding, the current flagship, Opus 4.6.
This is already a huge deal. But the one that everyone is really screaming about online today is the SWE bench score.
Right, the software engineering benchmark. And we should be clear, this is the gold standard. This isn't just solving little math puzzles.
No, this tests if the AI can actually go into a GitHub repository, read an issue that a human filed, and then write the code to fix the bug. It's a real-world task.
So Opus 4.6 the Beast, the really expensive model, it scores an 80.8% on the verified version of that benchmark.
Which is an incredible score, state of the art.
And Sonnet 4.6 just hit 79.6%.
Okay, let's just pause on that. That is a 1.2% difference. For 99% of all software engineering applications, that is statistical noise. It is functionally irrelevant.
Completely irrelevant. But you know what isn't irrelevant?
The price.
The price. Sonnet is 1/5 the cost of Opus.
Exactly. So put yourself in the shoes of a CTO. Are you going to pay a 500% premium for a 1% performance gain that you will probably never even notice?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You are never buying Opus again. It's over. Anthropic has effectively just told the world that their flagship product is obsolete.
It's a public execution of their own cash cow.
So the big question is why? Why do this? I'm looking at this as a user, as a consumer, and I'm thinking, great, cheap intelligence for me.
Of course.
But I'm an investor in Anthropic. I am screaming into a pillow right now. They're torching their own high-margin business.
I think the key is they believe they don't have a choice. This is the classic innovator's dilemma, but, accelerated by a factor of 1,000.
Okay, I got that.
They know that if they don't cannibalize their own high-end sales, someone else is about to do it for them. And they are looking specifically over their shoulder at the open-weight models coming out of labs in China, and they are terrified.
They're terrified of the good enough threshold.
The good enough threshold, precisely. The idea that being the smartest is no longer a defensible moat.
Smart is a commodity now.
It's a commodity. And the game is shifting. The real prize isn't the one-off prompt in a chatbot anymore. It's about agents. It's about these AI systems that can go off and do 10, 20, 50 things in a row without you. And for that to work, it has to be cheap.
Let's talk about that agentic angle, because the OS World benchmark scores, they jumped out at me just as much as the coding scores.
This is the critical piece of the puzzle. Osworld tests something very different. It tests how well an AI can actually use a computer.
Like a person would.
Exactly. Moving the mouse, clicking on icons, navigating a user interface, opening files. As recently as late 2024, the very best models were scoring, maybe 15% on this? They were clumsy. They'd get stuck in menus.
You had to babysit them.
Constantly. Well, Sonnet 4.6 just posted a score of 72.5%.
That is not an incremental gain. That's a phase shift. That is a completely different category of capability.
It's the difference between a bot that needs constant supervision and a bot that can actually be a digital employee. It's the moment the model stops being a chatbot and starts being an agent.
But here's the trap, right? And this gets back to the price cut.
This is the entire reason for the price cut. If you have an agent that needs to take 50 steps to complete a task, it has to click here, then read this email, copy that number, paste it into a spreadsheet. If you're paying Opus prices for every single one of those steps, for every token.
That task costs you like $10 to run.
Yeah.
It's not economically viable for most things.
Exactly. Nobody's going to pay $10 to automate a calendar invite. It's a non-starter. But at the new Sonnet prices, that same 50-step agent now costs maybe a few pennies to run.
Suddenly it's viable for everything.
Everything. So Anthropic is making a huge bet. They're betting that the sheer volume of agentic workflows will make up for the catastrophic collapse in their margins.
They're sacrificing margin for market share. They're trying to become the default agentic layer of the economy before OpenAI or Google can get there first and lock it down.
It's a land grab, a very, very expensive land grab.
But you mentioned the competition from China. You really can't talk about this price collapse without looking east.
No, you can't. Because while Anthropic is busy slashing prices on their own proprietary closed-source models, Alibaba just casually dropped Qwen 3.5397B.
Which is a terrible name.
An absolute mouthful, yes.
But the architecture behind the name is, it is just pure, beautiful efficiency. It's a sparse mixture of experts and MOE.
And we should probably break down what MOE actually means for the cost of intelligence, because it gets thrown around a lot.
Please do. It's core to this whole commodity story.
Okay, so think of a traditional dense model, like the old GPT-4. It's like a massive library, and to answer any question you ask, the librarian has to run down every single aisle and check every single book.
Which is incredibly thorough, but it's slow and it's energetically very, very expensive.
A huge amount of wasted calorie burn. Now, Qwen 3.5, the MOE model, has 397 billion total parameters. That's the size of the library, the total number of books on the shelf.
But that's not what it uses.
Not at all. For any single query you give it, it only activates about 17 billion of those parameters. It's like the librarian knows exactly which shelf to go to. They completely ignore 95% of the library and just grab the 1 or 2 books that are actually relevant to your question.
So you get the vast knowledge base of a giant model. But the inference cost, the actual electricity bill to run it, is that of a tiny model.
You've got it. You get the intelligence of a Leviathan with the metabolism of a sprinter. And Alibaba is making some pretty bold claims here. They're saying this thing rivals GPT 5.2 and Gemini 3 Pro in raw reasoning.
It actually beats them in some of these agentic tasks, like search and document recognition.
And here's the real kicker.
It's open weight.
It's open weight, which means it is effectively free. You just pay for the electrons to run it on your own hardware.
Which leads us directly, I mean, this is a perfect segue to the shadow AI explosion that we're seeing right now. Because if the software is free, like Qwen, or suddenly dirt cheap like Sonnet.
The barrier to entry isn't money anymore.
Nope, it's just having a place to run it. And what we're seeing is that users are just bypassing IT entirely to build that infrastructure for themselves.
Which brings us to what we're calling the Raspberry Pi Renaissance.
I saw the stock chart this morning. Raspberry Pi shares added $1 billion in market cap. $1 billion. Practically overnight.
It's staggering, and it's almost entirely driven by this OpenClaw trend on social media.
Right. So OpenClaw is this open source personal AI agent, and people got this idea in their heads.
It's the desire for sovereignty. That's what's at the heart of this. People are looking at these incredibly powerful open-weight models like Qwen or distilled versions of Llama, and they're saying, you know what? I don't want OpenAI reading my data. I don't want Google training its next model on my private emails.
They go out and buy a specific piece of hardware.
They buy an $80 single-board computer, a Raspberry Pi, they put it on their desk next to their monitor, and they try to run their own personal private AI agent.
And the premise is so seductive. It's this idea of a Mac Mini for your AI that lives in your house. It's totally private, it's cheap, it's yours.
It's great vision.
It's a great vision. But I went and looked at the installation guides. This is not plug and play.
Oh, it's a complete nightmare. You're looking at a 4-hour YouTube tutorial just to get the basic dependencies installed correctly. It's fragile, it's complex. But the real risk here isn't the setup difficulty. It's what we're calling the main computer fallacy.
Okay, explain that.
People are treating these Raspberry Pi agents like they're just another piece of software, like installing Microsoft Word. They get it running, and then, and this is the crucial, terrifying step, they give the agent their primary credentials.
Because they want it to be useful,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
An agent can't help you organize your inbox if it can't read your email.
Exactly. So they're feeding it their Slack API keys, their main Gmail password, their GitHub personal access tokens, all the keys to their digital kingdom.
And these are non-deterministic systems.
That's the part people don't get. These are not deterministic. We have already seen dozens of reports on Reddit and X of OpenClaw agents that were told to organize my file system and proceeded to recursively delete every file they deemed unused.
Oh my God.
If you give a beta test AI root access to your entire digital life, you are practically begging for a catastrophe. It's like hiring a very fast, very eager intern who's high on 3 Red Bulls, giving them the keys to the main server room, and then leaving for a long weekend.
So the Raspberry Pi stock bump is real, but it's being driven by a user base that is, for the most part, running with scissors in a server room.
It is shadow IT on steroids. I mean, think about it. In 2015, shadow IT was an employee using their personal Dropbox account instead of the official company file server.
Which was a headache for IT, but, you know, manageable.
Right. In 2026, Shadow IT is an employee running a sovereign AI agent on a circuit board they've taped to the underside of their desk, which has full read-write access to the company's entire Jira and Salesforce instances.
That is a CIO's cardiac arrest waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole chaotic, messy implementation is happening against the backdrop of a massive global hardware shortage.
We have the cheap software, we have the user desire for local compute, but we are slamming headfirst into a memory wall.
High bandwidth memory HBM is the new oil, and Micron knows this. That's why they just committed $200 billion to build new fabs in Boise, Idaho, and Syracuse, New York.
They are betting the entire company on this bottleneck, and the prices are just staggering. DRAM is up 170% year over year.
And DDR5 is up, what, nearly 500%? It's insane.
This is the choke point in the whole system. We have the GPUs. NVIDIA has absolutely flooded the market with them, but the GPUs are sitting there starving for data. We literally cannot feed the tensors fast enough.
So the Micron bet is a bet that this agentic era is going to require just massive amounts of local and edge memory, not just centralized cloud storage.
It connects all the dots perfectly. You have Sonnet and Claude driving the cost of thinking down to zero. That creates this explosive demand for agents running these complex loops. That demand then crashes into the memory wall, which drives up the cost of the hardware.
And right in the middle of all that, you have the poor enterprise CIO trying to manage this chaos without the entire company network catching on fire.
And that's the thing. The ROI on these new models like Sonnet 4.6 is, it's insane, but that just makes the shadow AI problem even bigger and more dangerous.
Right, because if intelligence is this cheap, and like we said, anyone can run a pretty powerful agent on a Raspberry Pi, how does IT even begin to keep control?
You can't just block it. That's the old way of thinking. If you block the ports they need, they'll just tether to their phones. You can't win that game.
Exactly. And this is why we use AIRIA. It's a tool built for this exact moment of chaos.
It's the control plane. That's how they think of it. It lets you orchestrate the chaos instead of just, trying to stamp it out.
So AIRA, that's spelled AIRIA, it gives you that unified security and, crucially, real-time cost control. So instead of playing whack-a-mole with 20 different OpenClaw instances popping up on your network,
you can actually see them, you can route them, you can apply policies to them. It allows an enterprise to finally say yes. You can say yes to using amazing new models like Sonnet, or even letting your developers experiment with local open source agents, but without completely losing the security perimeter.
You get the visibility, you see the spend in real time, and you can stop data exfiltration before it happens.
It's about enabling innovation safely.
So if you are a CIO who is currently hyperventilating about that Raspberry Pi taped under someone's desk, you need to secure your stack. Check out the link for AIRIA in the show notes.
Honestly, it's probably the only way to survive the agentic boom without getting fired.
Okay, pivoting from the invisible back-end infrastructure to the very, very visible front end. Bloomberg just dropped a massive leak about Apple's AI hardware roadmap.
The wearable trio.
Yeah.
It's huge.
This feels like Apple finally, formally admitting that the iPhone, as a form factor, is a bottleneck for AI.
It's a slab of glass you have to pull out of your pocket. It's friction.
And they're trying to eliminate that friction with 3 new devices: smart glasses, something called the pendant, and camera-equipped AirPods.
The glasses are the most interesting to me, mainly because of what they don't have.
No display?
Exactly, no display, which seems so counterintuitive. We've all been waiting for Apple AR, right? We want the cool floating screens from the movies.
That's the dream.
But is it really? Displays are battery hogs. They make the glasses heavy and uncomfortable, and frankly, they still look pretty goofy. Apple is making a big pivot here away from AR and towards what they're calling visual context.
So the glasses aren't there to show you things?
No. They're there to show the AI things. They are pure input devices. They're the eyes for your personal AI.
So you've got cameras for the AI in your face.
Dual cameras, specifically for depth perception. And then you have the pendant.
Which, I'm sorry, just gives me serious Her vibes. The Spike Jonze movie.
Oh, totally, 100%. It's a small device you wear, probably on a necklace, with an always-on camera and microphone. The leak says that internally, Apple calls it the phone's eyes and ears.
And then the AirPods are getting low-res sensors too, just to add another layer of visual context for Siri to help it understand what you're looking at or pointing at.
Taken together, this signals a massive strategic shift. It's the move from the prompt era to the context era.
That is the perfect way to frame it. Right now, to use any AI, you have to stop what you're doing in the real world, pull out that slab of glass, unlock it, open an app, and then formulate a text prompt. Hey, Claude, please help me figure out how to fix this leaking sink.
That's all friction. That's a barrier.
And Apple wants to remove the prompt entirely.
Exactly. In their vision, if I'm wearing the glasses and I just look down at a broken sink, the new Siri should just whisper in my ear, okay, you're going to need a 38th-inch wrench, and you need to turn that red valve to the left. No typing, no asking. The context is the prompt.
It sounds absolutely amazing in theory, but it relies entirely on one massive assumption.
That Siri doesn't suck anymore.
That Siri isn't completely, utterly terrible.
That is the multi-trillion-dollar if. The report says the new Siri is going to be powered by a distilled on-device version of a Gemini model, and it's launching in iOS 27. But come on, we have been promised Smart Siri for a decade.
Every single year. This is the year Siri gets smart.
And every year it disappoints.
Yeah.
If Apple ships a pendant that records my entire life but still can't reliably set a timer when I ask it to, it's not a product. It's just a creepy surveillance device.
And that privacy angle is the other elephant in the room. I mean, we all remember laughing at glass holes back in 2013, the people wearing Google Glass.
Oh, yeah.
Are we, as a society, really ready for a world where everyone is wearing a camera on a necklace?
I think the norms have shifted a bit, but an always-on pendant is still a very big ask. The value trade-off has to be immense. I will give you my privacy if you give me actual magic. But if the magic is laggy or if it hallucinates and tells me the wrong thing, the product is dead on arrival.
Speaking of products dying because of hallucinations, let's pivot to the people who have already bought the hype and are now living with a severe case of buyer's remorse. Let's talk about the Dataiku report on CIOs.
Oof. This report is a brutal, cold bucket of water to the face for the whole industry. They surveyed 800 chief information officers, and the headline number is just devastating.
64%.
74% say they regret their AI investment decisions from the last 18 months.
Let that sink in. 3 out of every 4. That is a failure rate that would get you fired in literally any other sector of the economy.
It's catastrophic.
So what are they regretting specifically? Is it just that the tech is too hard to implement?
It's a combination of vendor lock-in and price deflation. They all rush in and sign these massive, multi-year enterprise contracts with a single model provider. Usually it was OpenAI through Microsoft Azure, and they signed them at 2024 prices.
When the hype was at its absolute peak.
At the peak. And now, as we just discussed with Sonnet, prices for equivalent or even better performance have dropped by 80%. And in some cases, with models like Quinn, they're available for free. But these CIOs are contractually stuck paying premium rates for what is now deprecated intelligence.
So they bought the top of the market?
They bought the absolute top, and what's worse, they integrated these black boxes into their companies. 29% of these CIOs admitted, on the record, that they can't even explain the outcomes of the models they deployed.
Wow.
They can't tell their CEO or their CFO why the AI made a particular decision, which is a massive compliance and risk issue.
And the pressure from the CEO suite is clearly mounting. The report says 62% of them are being grilled on ROI constantly.
Of course they are, because they went to the board and promised transformation, and what they delivered, for the most part, was a slightly better customer service chatbot.
So is the AI bubble popping?
I think the ROI bubble is definitely bursting. The easy money, the budget you got just by putting AI in a PowerPoint slide, that's gone. Now you have to actually show your work.
And if you want to see the most tangible, most visceral example of this AI regret in action, you have to look at the story of Alpha School. This one actually made me angry.
It should make you angry. It's an absolute tragedy.
Okay, so Alpha School. It's a high-tech private school in California. The tuition is $65,000 a year.
That is Ivy League level tuition for a K-12 school.
Exactly. And the big marketing pitch was AI-powered personalized education. The idea was that every single kid gets their own AI tutor that creates a custom curriculum and adapts to their personal learning style.
A beautiful idea on paper.
A beautiful idea. And the reality was AI hallucinated gibberish.
It was worse than gibberish. Leaked internal documents and Slack messages show that the AI they were using was generating lesson plans with factually incorrect history. It was creating math problems that were literally unsolvable.
I saw one example of a multiple choice question where none of the provided answers were correct because the LLM couldn't do basic arithmetic itself.
There was a quote from one of the teachers in the internal Slack channel that it broke my heart. She said, "It feels like a betrayal of their effort to learn."
Betrayal. That's the perfect word. Education is supposed to be this high-trust environment. You are entrusting your child's developing mind to this institution. And they were using a cheap, off-the-shelf, hallucinating model to scrape data from other online courses without permission just so they could justify that $65K price tag.
It is AI watching in its purest and most destructive form.
And it serves as such a critical warning label for the whole industry. Just because you can use AI to automate a process does not mean you should.
Especially not education. You cannot move fast and break things when the thing you might break is a third grader's understanding of multiplication.
It just validates all the skeptics. It gives ammunition to every single person out there saying this is all just smoke and mirrors. And that tension, that friction, between the promise of the technology and the real-world danger is nowhere higher than in our next segment, the Pentagon.
The war room. Yeah, this situation is escalating very, very quickly.
We're getting reports from multiple sources. The Department of Defense is on the verge of designating Anthropic as a supply chain risk.
And we need to be crystal clear about what that label means. Supply chain risk is a designation that is usually reserved for foreign adversaries.
Right. Companies like Huawei from China or Kaspersky from Russia.
It means do not touch. If this designation sticks, it would effectively ban Anthropic and its Claude models from the entire U.S. defense and intelligence sector. Every contractor would be forced to dump them.
And the incredible irony here is that this isn't because Claude is bad at the job.
No, it's the complete opposite. Paradoxically, Claude is currently the only LLM that's been approved for use on classified systems through Palantir's platform.
It was reportedly used in the operation to capture President Maduro in Venezuela back in January. The military operators love the model.
They love the model. They just hate the company's ethics.
This all goes back to Anthropic's founding constitution, right?
It does. Dario Amodei and the leadership team, who all came from OpenAI's safety team, have this strict, baked-in refusal to grant broad permissions for their AI to be used in developing lethal autonomous weapons or for offensive cyber operations. It's their brand. They're the safety company.
And the Pentagon is looking at that and saying, I'm sorry, we are the United States government. We do not ask a San Francisco startup for permission to use lawful force.
Exactly. The Pentagon's position is that they demand the right to use any software they procure for all lawful purposes, which absolutely includes drone strikes, automated targeting, and intelligence gathering for lethal operations. And Anthropic is saying no.
So it's a complete standoff, a game of chicken. The military wants the tool, but the toolmaker refuses to sign a blank ethical check.
And as they say, nature abhors a vacuum. While Anthropic is busy standing on the moral high ground, Elon Musk is happily stepping in to fill the trench.
SpaceX and XAI are entering the chat.
Forcefully. There's a highly secretive $100 million DARPA contest underway right now for autonomous drone swarming technology, and the reporting is that XAI is competing very, very aggressively for that contract.
Drone swarms. And just to be clear, we are not talking about a pilot sitting in a container in Nevada flying a Reaper drone with a joystick.
No. We were talking about hundreds, maybe thousands of small, cheap drones sharing a single hive mind, making their own targeting decisions in real time, communicating with each other through a local mesh network, completely independent of human control.
And the contrast cannot be more stark. You have Anthropic on one side saying, we refuse to build this technology. And you have Musk on the other side saying, we will build the best, most lethal drone swarm in human history.
This is the fracture point for the entire industry. If the Pentagon follows through and blacklists Anthropic, they are effectively picking a winner in this philosophical war. They are signaling to the entire market that AI safety, when it comes to Washington, doesn't mean safe for humanity.
It means safe for the mission.
If your company's ethics slow down the kill chain, then you are a supply chain risk.
It's a chilling redefinition of the term. And it forces every other AI lab, Google, OpenAI, everyone to choose a side. Do you want access to the government's billions of dollars in defense spending? You'd better drop that pacifist clause from your terms of service.
Heavy stuff.
It really is. It highlights that this whole field isn't just about chatbots writing poems anymore. It's about warfare. It's about economic cannibalization, and it's about deep structural regret from the people holding the purse strings.
The stakes have genuinely never been higher.
All right. We are coming up on time, but we have to hit the lightning round. February 18th had a lot of other noise going on.
Yeah.
What else is on your radar?
First up, Figma, the design software company. Their stock is down 85%.
85%. That's not a correction. That's an implosion.
Total implosion. They launched a new feature called Code to Canvas. It lets you take code, say, from a model like Claude, and it automatically generates a Figma design from it.
That sounds pretty useful, actually. Why would the market hate that?
Because investors believe the entire UI design layer is about to be completely automated away. If the AI can write the front-end code and build the visual interface, what is Figma for?
It becomes a vestigial limb.
They're trying to position themselves as the polish layer, the place where humans come in at the end to tweak things. But the market is betting that the polish will eventually be automated too.
Wow. Brutal market efficiency. What else you got?
OpenAI security. They finally caved to pressure and added a lockdown mode for their enterprise customers.
And this is to address the prompt injection fears.
Yes, exactly. If an admin turns this on, it prevents the model from automatically clicking external links, from loading images from untrusted sources, or from executing unverified code snippets it might generate.
It's a patch, but I guess a necessary one given all the shadow AI risks we were just talking about.
It's a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, but it's something.
Okay, Meta and NVIDIA.
Massive, multi-billion-dollar chip deal signed today. Zuckerberg is just doubling down, tripling down on compute. It reinforces the point that while the CIOs are getting sad, the tech giants are still spending on GPUs like drunken sailors on shore leave.
And finally,
Grok.
Grok 4.20.
Of course that's the version number. Of course it is.
Naturally. The beta is starting to roll out to Premium X subscribers. The big new feature they're touting is parallel agent workflows.
So it can multitask.
Right. Can run a research agent, a writing agent, and a coding agent all at the same time on the same problem. It's clearly XAI trying to catch up to Anthropic's agentic lead, but, with that classic chaotic Musk energy thrown in.
The race just never stops.
Never for a second.
So let's try to wrap this all up. We started this deep dive with the paradox, and I think we kind of found the resolution. I think we did. We are absolutely in a moment of extreme contradictions. The hardware is booming. Micron, Apple, NVIDIA are basically printing money. And the models themselves are getting smarter and cheaper by the day, Sonnet, Quinn.
But the humans, the CIOs trying to get a return on investment, the teachers trying to educate kids, the ethics boards at the AI labs, they are all struggling to make it work safely and profitably.
It's the friction of implementation. The technology is clearly ready, but society, our institutions, our rules. We're not quite there yet. We are figuring out the ROI and the safety protocols in real time, and it's messy.
And here's a final thought to leave you with. If Apple actually succeeds with these new wearable glasses, and if these OpenClaw agents actually succeed on our little Raspberry Pis at home, we are moving very, very quickly to a world where AI literally watches everything we do.
It becomes the primary filter through which we experience reality.
It sees your morning coffee, it sees your work screen, it hears your conversations in the kitchen, and it starts to act on your behalf without you ever typing a single word into a box.
We are outsourcing our senses.
So the fundamental question isn't, how smart is the model anymore? We know they're smart enough. The real question is, who controls the eyes and ears? Is it you? Is it Apple? Or is it some non-deterministic agent running on a $50 computer that just decided on its own that your entire photo library looked a little cluttered?
That is the new billion-dollar question.
Keep your agents contained, keep your ROI calculated, and maybe, just maybe, put a small piece of tape over that camera for now.
That's probably good advice.
I'll get you tomorrow on the Deep Dive. See you then.
That wraps up today's briefing. The signal for today is disruption. Disruption in the price layer with Sonnet 4.6, disruption in hardware with Apple's wearables, and a growing disruption in the relationship between Silicon Valley safety and national defense. This episode was made possible by AIRIA. If you have employees using Sonnet 4.6 or spinning up OpenClaw on Raspberry Pis, you need a control plane. Secure your stack with AIRIA. Check the link in the show notes. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Please subscribe and share. Until tomorrow, keep unraveling the future.
And before you go, if your company is building the tools that power the workflows we talked about today, I'd love to showcase them to this audience. We don't just run ads, we build technical simulations that prove your value. Let's build something together. Visit jamgamind.com/partners to get started. Until next time, keep building.